Hello? Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
Once you get that Bugatti, you have to eat, let's say, 2 grains of rice, and that's a maximum. That's all you're gonna eat, and maybe the tail of a fish for a week. You know, simply. But you've got the Bugatti, but then your lifestyle is crap. Hey folks, this is Caco Tirona.
And this is Gino Rufino.
You are listening to Torque of the Town. Welcome to our very first, I should say, podcast. Gino is what it's called, regardless of whatever, what do you call this? No,
Medium?
Medium. Whatever medium it is that you are listening through us.
Yeah, because you're used to small, so this is medium.
Wow. It's not even 2 seconds into the show and he's already taking a jab at me. It's going to be a very, very long year. And it's already December. Or is it November?
I have no idea.
I get
think
confused.
In my head, it's March.
It's still March. It's a damn long month, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And this year hasn't been the greatest of years for anybody. But we're making do as best as we can.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's, of course, 2020 is a year that nobody's gonna forget for the wrong reasons.
That is very true. I would like to forget it.
Yeah, except that this one is... Maybe we're turning the tide now because we started a podcast and I think we can save the universe.
Do you think we have the chance of saving the universe? I mean, really, if you run around in a Superman outfit and me in a Wonder Woman, wait a minute, that came out the wrong way.
Yeah. Wonder, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I got the legs for it. People always tell me
Are you good with the lasso?
You know what? We're going to move on. And we're going to do... look, very quickly, we're going to introduce ourselves. You guys already know us. My name is Caco Tirona. I'm the host of the AutoDeal channel where we do reviews and whatever stupidities that I can come up with. And Gino, here in front of me, is the host for the AutoDeal channel. We both work for AutoDeal, of course. And now, as you've probably figured out, we have a podcast where we'd like to be able to discuss certain topics that we may not have the opportunities to do so during our reviews on our MotoDeal and AutoDeal channels, respectively.
And it's, of course, important to note that both AutoDeal and MotoDeal have Facebook pages. We have, or all over social media,
That's
Instagram
true.
accounts, even Twitter. I know some people on video content don't really watch or don't really go through Twitter that often, but we are there as well.
Yes, we are. We have a very strong presence there. So if
And a website.
We have a website?
AutoDeal website.
No, you're joking. That's all new information to me, man.
Awesome stuff.
We do have a website. We're very strong on social media. We'd love it if you were to be able to follow us on our social media pages as well as our YouTube pages, which is AutoDeal and MotoDeal. On Instagram, we are AutoDeal. And on Twitter, I'm going to be honest with you, I forgot our handle on Twitter.
MotoDeal for MotoDeal.
And
AutoDeal.
No, it's AutoDeal.ph.
AutoDeal.ph.
dude, you got it wrong already. Do we have to restart?
I said MotoDeal.
Okay.
MotoDeal.ph on
Instagram.
Instagram.
You'd think I know what the AutoDeal handle is on Twitter.
So what's our TikTok?
Our what now? Man, you say TikTok and the only thing I'm thinking of is a bomb about to explode. I ain't got nothing. So, to go along with our first show, we're trying to keep it as tight as possible. Ooh, tight. I like that. We're going to try to keep it as tight as possible.
Torque of the Town, by the way.
Torque of the Town is the name. That's right. We did ask a lot of our friends on social media what exactly the name should be. We came up with a couple of ideas. There were a couple of ideas that we couldn't really go with because they were already taken. And I do believe we nailed it on the head with Torque of the Town.
Yeah, it does sound a little sporty because the word torque kind of, at least with me, I do think of motorsports with it, whether it's racing cars or racing bikes. But of course, you'd use it on a daily basis, right? I mean, it's an important aspect of whether you're in an automobile or a motorcycle. It's something that not everybody will understand what torque is.
It's kind of hard to explain,
It's
too.
also a little bit difficult to explain it. You just feel it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just something that you feel when you're riding a vehicle. So hopefully people will feel what we're talking about.
Ooh, feel. I like that.
But let's give a quick background on both of us and why we are working in these channels. First of all, you and I have known each other for quite some time now.
Yes, quite some time, thanks largely to alcohol, if I'm not mistaken. Not rubbing, mind you. The kind that you imbibe with mass quantities of that. And like, yeah, I know you. Yeah, I know you. And a
Yeah.
couple of years later, dude, you look different. It's because we see each other during the day.
Yes.
So yes, Gino and I have known each other for quite some time. Thanks largely, like I said, to alcohol. And
Don't drink and drive, by the way, or drink and ride. Don't do that.
yeah, dude, because you might spill your drink. So Gino and I have known it, like we said, we've known each other for quite some time. And I got into the motoring industry back in, I believe it was '09, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think it was earlier than that.
You were earlier than
No,
that.
I was earlier, but I think I remember you being there maybe about '07.
'07,
I think you were there '07.
'07, you think?
At least on TV and
Oh, that, you know what? I completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
I
so-
did have a show with Dominic Uy.
yes.
We were doing, I completely forgot the name of the show. I honestly
It
did.
was that memorable for you.
It was,
The Dom is that memorable for you.
dude, no, Dominic still remains to be a very, very good
Yeah,
friend of mine
okay.
today, but I can't remember the darn title of the show.
I can't believe
honestly
you forgot.
can't. But
So-
anyway, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because back in the day, we both had shows. My show was called Hotwire.
That's
yours,
right,
Yours
yes.
came after.
Yeah.
And so that's where we were part of the motoring media back then. Right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of took a break from motoring, went to my core competence, which is sports.
Da-da-da-da-da.
And now I'm back. Just different. Instead of 4, I'm on 2 wheels.
I don't even know how to respond to that. How are you back different?
I'm different. No, I'm not on 4 wheels anymore. I'm on 2.
I see. Okay. Now
Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Very quickly, that's basically our a very short background. I'm sure there's a lot more
Yeah.
going on back there, but we won't bore you with that. We can
Yeah.
talk about that some other time. And it'll probably come up in later shows about how it is that we know each other and how it is that we've gotten into the industry. But more importantly, now everybody out there knows us as basically somebody that reviews automobiles, which is myself, and somebody that reviews motorcycles, which is Gino.
Yes.
And, I'm sure that the one question that we normally would get all the time is if given X number of money or
Yeah.
unlimited resources,
Yeah.
what particular motorcycle or car would you get for yourself? And the beauty about this question is that you and I can answer
Both.
from both
Yeah.
sides of the spectrum. You,
Yeah.
you can answer both cars and motorcycles, and I can do the same as well. So let's make it easy. Let's start off with the motorcycles and just your particular preference of what motorcycle it
Yeah,
is that
that's-
you would get and why. Tell me why.
Well, it's very difficult. I was thinking about this the other day, and I couldn't come up with an answer, to be honest with you.
Seriously.
Because there's so many different types of bikes out there, right? I mean, and you can't really, I mean, you can, but you can't, let's say, if I would say an adventure bike, let's say a GS, a BMW GS, I can't use it as a daily ride. I can, but it's not comfortable.
Why?
It's too big. It's like, nagmotor ka pa. Like, you may as well use a car. Because you take away if you were using like a scooter or a naked bike or maybe even sport bike, you can get through traffic because you can lane filter
Yeah.
a little bit and get through traffic. On a big GS, it's a little bit more difficult. Sure, some people do it. Some people can do it. But it's not its core competence. It's not its primary use. The use of that bike is to go on long rides,
True.
maybe around the world.
Yes.
Right. So that would be fun. That would be great. But then would it be something that I use on a daily? I don't think so.
So nothing that big, nothing like a GS.
Yeah, a GS or those big cruisers that Harley is known for, even some like even those other big bikes like Gold Wings and whatever. I mean, it's just too big. And then let's say you go the extreme scooter, right, or the underbones.
Yeah.
You can't take that on the expressway. So bitin then, diba? You can't.
True.
It's even though it's the best to get through traffic in Manila,
Yeah.
it's very limiting. Like you have a Vespa. How far have you gone with it?
Oh, well, my Vespa and I stay inside town all the time. I have no intentions of taking it out. The only reason why I have the Vespa is just to simply, as you mentioned, to get through traffic as
Yeah.
quickly as possible. That's it.
Yeah. So, and then you go to the sport, maybe the best performing types of motorcycles, right? I mean, it's the fastest. It's the one that really will ignite the senses.
Catches everybody's eyes too.
Yeah.
Whew,
Yeah.
pretty.
Sometimes for the wrong reasons. But that's that. So there was I was so stumped, to be honest with you. I could not come up with, or maybe I just enjoy every single type of bike out there. I find beauty in every one.
Okay.
And I think that's a challenge for me.
But I'm going to hold you to it. You got to find that one particular bike.
I know.
What's it going to be?
And then you can't take like dual sport bikes or dirt bikes. I mean, you can, but again, some of those bikes are limiting because you can't take it on the expressway. Even though you can take those bikes if there's a zombie apocalypse, so to speak. Those bikes will get you through anything.
True.
So that's. But my complaint about those type of bikes, I don't like the way they look.
Is it because they stand too tall?
Yeah,
They're naked?
well, part of it is they're a little tall, but I just don't like the way dirt bikes or dual sport bikes look. It's just not me.
Okay. You're more of a...
I'm more of a naked bike.
Ooh, you nasty boy.
Yeah,
You
I like them naked. No, I'm more of a standard person. Like I'm a standard bike type of guy.
That doesn't mean that you're a stand-up guy. I'm just saying.
Not definitely not a stand-up guy.
Okay.
But so I honestly would go with something a little bit more basic, something maybe easier to maintain. So believe it or not, I would actually get something that I actually own already.
The Yamaha.
The Yamaha XSR 900.
That's a beautiful bike.
Because it's a bike that I'm very comfortable with. Sure, it's a little bit more powerful than I need, to be honest with you. But I can go anywhere with it. Maybe not through the mountains, but I can go as far as, I can take it on an expressway. It's not that difficult to weave in and out of traffic. I love the way it looks.
Yeah. It's gorgeous.
And it's easy to maintain as compared to some of the other bikes out there. So,
What you just mentioned earlier, was this your thinking process in getting this particular motorcycle?
yeah, that plus it's also budget related. I can't afford, let's say, a BMW R90. I love the way those bikes look.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good looking damn bike too.
Yeah, I can't afford it. So, I thought about it. I would go with something a little bit more feasible. So I went with a bike that I love the way it looks. It's, easy to maintain. I can bring it on the expressway more so. I can ride far with it. Limited on the, dirt bike or the mountain bike capabilities.
Yeah.
You can't go to trail with it.
Yeah.
Even if you change the tires, I mean, maybe you could, but it would definitely do some damage to the bike.
That's understandable.
And it might be too much torque, too much power to take it on trails.
But you're a pretty well-behaved guy on two
I
wheels.
am significantly behaved compared to some other riders out there.
You want to mention names?
Yeah, his name is Earl. That's one.
Shut up, Earl.
One of our team members, you have to control him, right? You have to not. So I've been riding a little bit longer than Earl, but I can say that he's a little bit more daring than I am. Maybe it's youth. I don't know.
Is daring a nice way of saying stupid?
What's your say, Earl? Limits.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, I know we've been on this particular topic for a while. So, what would my dream bike be? I don't know because there's just so many categories. But what I would get is the one that I already have. Is the XSR 900.
I think that's a pretty safe answer because
It is a safe answer, but
it's a smart answer.
yeah.
Because you don't know exactly what you're right. You don't know what your dream bike would be because it would be a combination of several other motorcycles put together to be able and cost effective as well.
Yeah.
So,
But my answer for my car is not that. But how about you? I mean, I know you have a Vespa. Is there anything else out there that you could imagine yourself on?
oh, I can imagine myself on a lot of motorcycles. The problem is I can't reach them. When I don't know if Earl and Jack, who are with us in the studio today, but I don't know if they remember motorcycles. Say, for example, like the 916, when that thing first came out. It's the first one, if I'm not mistaken, with the tailpipes underneath the rear seat.
Yeah.
And then maybe about a couple of years back, maybe about 10, 15 years, less than 15 years ago, Ducati also came out with, I think it was the Monster, the 2007 Monster that was a monoposto. It came out in the movie Tron, if I'm not mistaken. That's a gorgeous bike. But then I also love the other end of the spectrum. I love the way the Vespas look.
Yeah.
They look like a wasp.
Sometimes I don't hear what I say, so people have to remind me. But go ahead.
So there's the Vespa. I have to limit myself. I have to be realistic in the fact that there's only so much that my short legs can reach.
Yeah.
So
a monkey.
basically, I was about to say a monkey. We did have a monkey before, and I wish we kept it because that was the only thing that could flat foot, really. But if it were to be a motorcycle, I have to be realistic in the fact that there's only so many things that I can reach with my short frame. I know the fact that I can't do a 900cc motorcycle, and I know that I need an XL helmet because my head is like an orange on a toothpick. Facts are facts, man. That's just what I was blessed with. So the combination of what it is that you said, plus the fact that I'm X-tall, I'd probably go with something like a 400cc motorcycle.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't go out of town on a bike, so getting myself a large motorcycle is not really my forte. I'd stick to really a Vespa, which is something that I have because I see myself, if I am going to go out of town, I'll take a car.
Sure.
But that doesn't rule out the fact that anytime I'm in a car and I see you guys zoom past me at the proper speed, I might add.
Yes. We never exceed the speed limit.
Nothing beyond. It doesn't mean that I'm not jealous. I do understand the freedom and the heightened senses of being on a motorcycle with the wind blowing up against you and being able to bank and turn and accelerate at the snap of your fingers. Yeah. I'm jealous about that. But if I had to choose what it is that I would, it would be already something that I do have, which is a Vespa. So I'm completely happy with that.
It's funny because we both came up with our answers as the bikes that we currently have.
So does that mean that we're actually smart because we did our research prior?
I agree with you. I think it's because, we chose bikes that both of us really wanted and we got them.
This never happens. I've never called myself smart ever.
Wow.
I'm tooting my own horn. I love it.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on.
Let's go to cars.
Yeah. Okay, Jinno, now we all know that you being the host of AutoDeal, we know now that your preference for motorcycles is exactly what it is that you have. But when it comes to a car, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
You've got a lot more choices. You've got a lot more realistic choices.
Yeah.
And budget, I think that although a motorcycle's budget is a heck of a lot more affordable than that of a car, I'm sure that you would set aside a bigger budget for an automobile.
Yes. Let me put it this way. Like, it's easier to attain your dream bike than it is your dream car.
Okay. Simply because of budget.
Simply because of budget. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. But anyway, having said that, I still love cars, right? It's still, even though I don't really drive my car anymore, it's just there parked in my garage. But when I was thinking about this question also, I took it totally on a different way. I didn't even think about budget. I just thought about what car would I want.
So were you thinking just what car would look good on you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what car would I what car would I want to drive? What car would I basically just enjoy?
Okay.
And for some reason, a car that I've actually never even sat inside it just drew my attention when it came out many years ago. Well, it seems like it was many years ago now. It's a Bugatti Veyron.
I'm sorry. How much money do you make?
This is the reason why I said I didn't think about the budget, right? I just thought, what car would I want?
Whatever it is that they're paying this guy, can I have... Earl, we need a raise, bro. So go on, Gino. You were saying Bugatti Veyron?
Yeah. Because I just remember seeing that car. Okay. I didn't even know what Bugatti was until my dad walked into a store. We were in Italy. And he walked into this store. It was Bugatti, but it was like the clothing store. It had like stuff, pens,
mugs,
ties, whatever. Yeah, stuff like that. And I never knew him as a car guy. Like he didn't care about cars. He had a Corolla for the longest time, and then a Camry after that.
Toyota lover.
Yeah, and then now he has another Camry. So he doesn't care about cars, right? So when he walked into the store, to me as a kid, I walked in, I was like, I thought it was a toy store because they had like models and whatever. So I thought he was going to buy me a toy.
Okay.
Until he bought himself a pen, he bought himself a necktie and a shirt. And then I realized Bugatti was a car.
Okay.
Right? I was a kid. I don't remember how old I was, but I was a little kid. And then I guess that's what spurred my interest. And then when I saw it again many years later, as a little bit more of an adult, I still think like I'm a child. But as a semi-adult, I saw, and it was actually a video that I saw on Top Gear.
Okay.
When they raced the Bugatti versus the McLaren
Oh, okay. Yes.
in the desert.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, the McLaren actually won that. But just looking at the damn freaking Bugatti, shit. I mean, it's sorry about that, but it's drop dead, absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a sports car type of person,
Yeah.
right? So, but that would be it. It would be very useless in the Philippines, but very expensive, very useless.
US dollars for the oil change.
How much?
20,000 US
Jesus.
$20,000 for an oil change.
That's a Vios.
Wow.
20. Do they put gold dust in? Is it Schlager that they put in there? Gold Schlager to change their oil?
Do you guys even know, Jack, Earl, do you guys know what Goldschlager is?
No.
You guys have no idea what Gold Schlager is? We're going to call it a day. We've been, we mentioned Bob Hope and they were like, who? We said
Yeah.
Gold Schlager and they said, what?
Yeah.
It's a good thing they knew who Jay Leno was. But anyway, back to the topic.
Yeah, Veyron would do it for me.
Over the newer one? Chiron?
What?
Over the newer
Yeah, no, because that's the car that it's the only car that I've seen that kind of I stare at. Like every time I come across it online or in a magazine.
Yeah.
If we still look at magazines, I hold it on that page or on that site and I just look at it. I'm like, damn.
Do you visualize yourself inside the car?
I try to do that whole secret thing. It doesn't work.
Bring.
I've been doing it for the past couple of years. I still don't have a Veyron. I still don't have a Bugatti.
I've been trying it with the Lotto. Apparently, it doesn't work with the Lotto as well.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
kind of sucks. Whoever did the secret, you suck.
Yeah, but here's my question though, because I was thinking about that, right? I was just thinking about, and then this whole bagyo happened, like back to back, and then that car would just be stuck in the garage. You couldn't take that out.
You wouldn't be able to take it out for maybe about 2-3 months out of the year, but the rest of the time you could.
So then I thought about what if I got a massive SUV?
Yeah.
Right.
Like a 6-wheeler Benz.
No, but you know what? One car that I really have, I've really loved just the way it looks and just because you can take it anywhere, is actually I don't know which one is it. The Disco 90, the small one,
The 1990.
huh? The one that Uncle Rob Consuni has.
The green one?
He has several, but his small gray one.
Discovery, Defender.
Sorry, the Defender, not Discovery. The Defender, what?
The two-door, yes.
Yeah. The small one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still like that one. No, but yeah. So, Veyron, the Bugatti would be it. But that car,
For a more realistic one.
yeah. I mean, and it's something that I've always enjoyed.
I can see you in it.
Yeah.
It'll go well with your XSR.
Actually, I think it
Load
would.
it up in the back. I'll do it.
I think it would. The funny thing is, somebody who I know who's very close, actually to both of us, advised me not to get that car a long time ago.
Not to get a Bugatti.
No. The Defender.
The Defender. Okay.
Because I was asking him.
Oh, him.
I was asking him questions about it, and he goes, "Are you actually planning on buying one?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Word of advice: don't."
Thank you very much, friend of ours.
Yes.
Who gave...
How about you? How about you? A car. I'm actually
Car.
because you've driven maybe more cars than most people.
That's true, but there are a lot of people out there that have driven a hell of a lot more cars than I have. But my process in thinking of what car to get would be completely different to yours. As much as I would love to say that I would like to get myself a small car that's basically about 2 doors, corners like a motorcycle, but still has 7 seats inside that 2-door kind of a car,
Wow, does that exist?
It doesn't even exist,
Yeah.
is my point. Because my thought of thinking is, well, I'm a family guy. I've got Lisa and the 2 kids. are always with me more often than not, rather, when I travel. So I have to think about space for them and space for myself. And I don't necessarily enjoy smaller cars, regardless of how good they handle it.
But you guys, all of you guys can fit in like the trunk of a car.
This guy is a man's organ. That's just what I'm going to say.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So anyway, so our small little rat family, as you refer to, we do enjoy a lot of space because we're spoiled that way. We're tiny people, but we like big cars.
Yes,
kind of a thing. The one reason for that is my wife likes to feel elevated in an area because she's married to such a small person. She'd like to be able to sit in a car that's actually gives something that he can't, which is height.
Yeah, so you're not overcompensating for that.
Not at all. So I have to figure out what particular car goes well with my wants and my wife's wants and needs. My needs is basically to be able to bring my family anywhere that I want to go. So as much as I would prefer a sedan, which I love sedans because they're much more comfortable. I love being a little bit lower to the ground. I'm already low to the ground, but I like to be lower to the ground so that it grips much better. My wife, on the other hand, loves SUVs.
Yeah.
Because she feels as if that they offer better protection. You have a better view of the road. Well, there's also the fact that there's a diesel engine. There's that. So the car that I would choose would probably be in the middle of an automobile. In the middle of a sedan and an SUV, which, to be honest with you, would most likely be a crossover.
Yeah.
So, or it would be a crossover or an extremely high-end SUV with absolutely great suspension. I don't know if they are still lemons as they were in the past, but Range Rovers in the past were always in the casa.
Yes.
You know, back in the 90s, kung Range Rover yan, it doesn't work. If there's no oil in it, there's probably oil under it, kind of a thing that people were saying. But the suspension and the eliteness and the ride of a Range Rover would be something that it's still a dream car till now. And then there would be larger crossovers. Let's say, for example, like a CX-9.
Okay.
You know, things that are 7-seaters but ride really, really well. So that, for me, I think cars like that are the middle ground of basically what it is that I want. We don't have one now. I mean, obviously our family drives, like I've shown on social media, we drive a Montero, and we're completely happy with it because it is a 7-seater, it's durable, it's got a diesel engine. I think the main reason why we got that particular car is because, well, as currently we want to be able to save as much money as possible when it comes to fuel, so diesels.
Yeah.
But if, let's say, for example, the option for a crossover that is large enough that has a diesel engine in the look that we wanted and in a ride that we wanted, we would have probably opted for that. But so to answer the question, it would be definitely a crossover or a large SUV with really great suspension. This would have been our car. Not exciting,
Yeah.
but that's what it is.
See, but I gave you a specific answer. You didn't give me a specific answer.
So you want a specific answer? Okay. So I'm gonna stick.
Don't play safe. I went for it. Let's go money, no object. I gave you a zero care about budget with a Bugatti.
What about the Audi Allroad we were looking at the other day?
The Audi, yeah, but still, you know,
Wagon?
look at the okay. So unrealistic response. Unrealistic response would still be like a 5-liter V8 Range Rover.
Okay.
Just, you know, either in like British racing green color or an all white one with like tan leather and like 22s on it for some dumb reason.
Well, yeah,
spinners, yeah, why not? Spinners on it. Just because, right? And the spinners would be like teddy bears spinning around, you know, like idiots. I guess that would be the unrealistic response.
Okay.
But the realistic response would be, I guess I would have to stick with something like maybe a CX-8 or a CX-9.
Okay.
Something like that.
Huh.
But again, that's not to say that we don't love our Monty.
Knox.
Okay, so Jinno, we've talked about what it is that we would dream about and what our realistic and dream cars would be like, or motorcycles. We've shot that off. But I think a lot of our listeners are probably do the same thing, that they have their particular goal, their particular motorcycle, their particular car in mind, and let that be their dream car. And great, if that is your dream car, that is your dream car. But there are some things that you have to come across where you have to understand, rather not come across, but understand that a dream can remain a dream, but if you got to be realistic, then you got to be realistic, and you got to bring yourself down to earth.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk them through some of the processes that we would normally go through in selecting a particular motorcycle or car to make sure that, well, they can actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
Instead of, slaving themselves 10 hours a day just to be able to maintain a car or a motorcycle just so that it looks good and never be able to use it.
Yeah.
And they end up working for that particular motor instead of the motor working for them, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what would your advice to buyers out there that are that are shopping through AutoDeal right now, using perhaps the buy online option?
Yeah.
That they should think about before purchasing a motorcycle?
Well, first, I have to say, a lot of people ask me, a lot of people, first timers, or thinking about getting into it. And the first thing I have to say, before anything, before you even consider getting on a bike, you should take classes.
True.
You should invest on yourself.
True.
Before the motorcycle. Yeah. Because, let's be honest, it's not the safest thing in the world.
No.
So you want to be as safe as you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Control what you can control. So, having said that, also don't go crazy on your first bike. I had a friend who bought himself a Ducati Scrambler Cafe Racer.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know how to ride a bike.
Ooh.
He got on it. He fell down. Brand new.
Damn it.
So what he did, he put that aside and he bought himself a XSR 155 to learn on. So, sorry? Which should have been the first choice. The XSR 155 is a great first choice. It's a little expensive. It's a little pricey for a 155cc motorcycle.
Yeah.
So if budget is not a concern, that's something I would tell people to look into. If budget's a little bit of a concern, then you go, maybe even with, I have no problem with, I know there's a stigma with China bikes.
Yeah.
But if you're just learning, so what? Get on one. If you fall with it,
That's true.
if it drops, you're going to drop your bike no matter what. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Inevitable.
So if you drop a China bike, sure, it's going to feel bad. It's gonna feel sucky that you dropped it. But I don't want to say I don't want to use the word disposable, but it won't hurt as much, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It adds character. Earl's dropped his bike several times and he's still here.
The bikes dropped him several times as well, and he's still here.
So I would say look into bikes like that you can learn on. I'm talking about bikes, like manual transmission, not the automatics.
No, not scooters.
Not scooters. Yeah.
Okay.
So specific to that. So I'm thinking more in the ways that people who when they ask me what they want to get on a monster right away, or they want to get on a big bike right away, don't do that. Start a little smaller. Just get used to it, shifting gears, knowing what to do with it.
Just to be clear, when you say manual transmission, something with a clutch,
Yes,
so not
yes,
necessarily
yes.
an underbone.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something with a clutch. Could be even underbone. That's fine. I mean, it's
Okay.
just so that it's not just twist and go. So there's certain things that you need to feel before stopping, before going. You need to know where you are.
Correct.
So the something that Earl actually owns. It was actually my first bike as well. The Kiwi CR152.
Mm-hmm.
That bike's what, 55,000 pesos. Brand new 55,000 pesos.
Great first time learner bike.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was my first bike. Yeah, and I learned on it. And thank you again to all my friends who chipped in to get me that bike as a birthday gift.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It was a great surprise. They got that for me.
I need friends like those.
It's something that we do in the Barkada. When somebody reach a milestone birthday,
Well, damn it, how do I get into that barkada?
you need to pay for the rest of the birthday gifts we gave each other on our 40th birthdays.
Oh, F that, man. Forget it.
So
I got enough friends.
so yeah, that bike, I love that bike. I absolutely love it. It was very painful to let go of.
Oh, you had to let it go.
I let go of it because I live in a condo and I couldn't.
Space-wise?
Yeah, space-wise, I couldn't imagine having more than one bike.
Okay, understood.
And so I wanted to graduate to a expressway legal bike. So I got the Cafe Racer 400 of Motorstar. That's a bike that Jack owns. So imagine, but the two bikes I've owned, these two fine gentlemen of our team actually owns as well.
That's very true. So
How about that?
So you were basically, as you'd say, you were going up in ranks and getting yourself a much bigger motorcycle
Yes.
every step of the way.
Yes.
You didn't take any shortcuts.
I didn't.
You had to learn it the right way, the slow way. Get your bearings right, or bearings straight rather, before you moved on to something much bigger. You didn't jump into the deep end of the pool first.
Yeah. And I think because as a kid, I owned a Norkis.
Oh
scooter.
I remember. Do you guys know what Norkis motorcycle scooters are?
Yeah, so I had a Norkis scooter, and in the village, really quick story. And in the village, me and my cousins, so there was 3 of us in the scooter. Right, we were small. I was maybe 7 years old, 8 years old, and of course, when somebody tells you don't go to this street,
Of course, you go to that.
that's what we did.
You head straight for it.
went to the gate of the village, and then we're like, "Ooh, we're right by the gate of the village. Look, we can see the church. Ooh, we can see the grocery store. We can, whatever." These kids.
Yeah.
And then we see the car of my eldest cousin.
Uh-oh.
So we're like, he's gonna tell our parents. Let's get out of here. So I was with like my 2 cousins who are brothers.
Yeah.
And myself. And we fly down the road trying to get back to my house before my cousin gets there or he sees us.
Okay.
And sure enough, which happens here a lot in the Philippines, a dog runs out to the street. I avoid the dog because I'm the one riding. I'm the one driving it. I'm in front, and there's 2 people behind me.
Oh.
Sure, they're pretty light because we were kids, but I was a kid too. I lose control of the bike. We get on the sidewalk, and we end up underneath. Well, the bike ends up underneath a parked car.
And you guys are Tocino City?
Good thing it was a Norkis bike, so it wasn't very fast.
Oh, okay.
I was imagining it was so hectic, like going so
But
fast.
in our heads, we were going fast, but we may have been going 30 kilometers per hour. I don't know.
That's still a rocket ship when you're like 9 years old.
So we were kids, right? And there was 0 protective gear. We were in shorts. Like t-shirt, no helmet.
As you would, this would have been the early mid 90s, right?
Yeah, somewhere there.
Yeah.
Let's just say somewhere there.
When in reality, I meant mid 80s. This is actually what I meant.
So if you could imagine the trauma that I had from that, I didn't ride a bike until I was close to 40 years old.
Wow, that's a pretty big gap.
It was a pretty big gap.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think that's why I'm a very defensive rider as well. Because of that early situation that happened.
Okay. So lesson learned. It's basically whether there are other people out there that have been driving motorcycles since they were, let's say, 5 or 6 years old. But regardless, they never started out on a Ducati either or a 1000cc motorcycle, right? They started with something small, something they could control, something that they could learn their craft on, so to speak, and then eventually graduate to something. Yeah. So your advice would never to jump onto something so massive that it'll take you...
Yeah, don't let your ego dictate what bike you get or how to twist the throttle.
That's very good advice right there.
Yeah. So start. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with starting small and getting some practice, getting some mileage on that, and then eventually working your way up.
For cars, I'd have to say it would be completely different.
Very different.
It is very different because I've received several messages from AutoDeal, people sending in questions, and their questions would be, would this particular car be better than this particular car, and so on and so forth. And those questions I completely understand, especially if it's coming from people that have owned an automobile before. But for first-time buyers, when they ask, what car should I get? Sometimes they give specifics as to what car they're thinking about, which is great. And others, they ask for what particular car they should get in general. And my first response would actually be a question to them is that, what do they need the car for? Do they need an automobile that will perhaps carry their family, or are they going to be by themselves? So I like people to figure out exactly what it is that they need a car to do for them, because I always say that the last thing an automobile should do is just sit there and look pretty and not do anything. The car should actually work for you. Mm-hmm. The next thing that I go for or tell people is that not just the budget, but at the same time, you should have the capabilities to be able to house this particular automobile.
Yes.
The last thing that you want to do is leave your precious investment. Well, it's not necessarily an investment, because a car loses its value once you roll it out of the showroom. But you know where I'm getting at, is that you should actually protect it. So the last thing you want to do is keep it under the elements all the time.
Yes.
You know, parking it out on the street. If there are no what do you call this? If there are no slots available in wherever it is that you live to house this particular car, then maybe you should hold off on purchasing it first. But really, other than your budget, it should be able to protect the automobile from the elements when it's not being used, I think is very, very important. And the last thing is really that regardless of whatever car that you get, when you've finally figured out that what it can do for you and you have the capability to house it, is that all-important budget. The last thing you want to do is to be able, or rather to be working yourself 70 hours a week just to be able to make payments on that particular car. It's just not worth it. Remember, it's supposed to be working for you, not the other way around. It's supposed to ferry you from here to there. It's supposed to serve you or your family. Sure, the poggy factor is always going to be there. I mean, you want to feel good when you're driving a particular automobile, especially if you've spent X amount of money on it. But importantly is that don't let it break the bank. Don't let it kill your wallet. Don't let it take food away from your table, is what's very, very important. And this is something that's kind of difficult for people to swallow. It might be third on the list, but it's a lot more difficult for people to understand and this concept, because they might be thinking like, let's just take the Bugatti that you mentioned earlier in the show. Let's just say that you will be able to get yourself that Bugatti, but once you get that Bugatti, you have to eat, let's say, 2 grains of rice, and that's a maximum. That's all you're going to eat, and maybe the tail of a fish for a week, but you've got the Bugatti, but then your lifestyle is crap, so to speak, right? So you gotta work with what you have. I'm sure you're working harder to strive for more, to be able to get yourself a better car later on. But just like, I guess, like the motorcycle, don't jump into something that you can't handle. If the motorcycle is way too much on horsepower, then maybe a car is just too expensive, or a particular car is just too expensive. So those are the 3 things I would like to impart on anybody that ever asks, what car do you think I should get for myself? In the same way, it's almost the same, I guess. It's just the one common factor that when you're looking at a motorcycle and looking at a car is that, I guess, exactly what Jinno said, which is get your ego in check.
Yeah.
I think that is completely true on both ends of the spectrum.
In a different way, though.
In a different way.
It's you're right.
It's same but different.
Same but different. Because mine is more ego. Don't let you keep your ego in check because of safety.
Yeah.
Yours is a little bit more. I guess there is a factor. There's a safety factor also, because if you can't sustain it, right? I mean, if it owns you, if the car owns you, then it's a little.
That's true,
right?
And then it's pointless.
It's pointless. Yeah.
So these are just today's show was just basically something that Jinno and I wanted to introduce ourselves and tell you guys that we're gonna have a podcast, so to speak. We're going to have one Wednesdays that we're going to published at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. Of course, you can check out the news that we have on our social media pages. We have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Apparently, I didn't even know that.
YouTube.
I know that we've got YouTube.
Yeah.
I've seen it a couple of times. Have
Yeah.
you seen it a couple of times?
I've seen it. I'm still trying to figure out how to get the MotoDeal numbers up to where the AutoDeal numbers are, to be honest with you.
Well, you know what? Hopefully, with the population of this show,
Maybe. And of course, you can get this podcast from Spotify, in Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. It'll be available there.
you know, oddly enough, when people first started with podcasts, I thought of the Tide Pods. I have no idea why.
What pods?
The Tide Pods.
What are Tide Pods?
These round little balls that people put inside washing machines instead
Oh
of,
yeah.
and people used to eat them.
Yeah, because every time I see that, I think, ooh,
Candy.
candy.
Oh, so you're one of those
I'm
idiots.
one of those idiots. I'm one of those idiots. Like if I didn't know any better, I would have probably eaten one of these and died.
To be fair, there are pods that are that are manufactured by the Mars company. So there's Twix and I think there's Milky Way that are pods. So they kind of look like Tide Pods.
Yeah.
If that's any consolation at all, it's not.
Come on, you can't tell me it looks yummy. That it doesn't. What?
Yeah. Have you ever seen a Tide Pod? Or
It looks
yummy.
It looks like it could be really tasty.
And on that note, we're going to call it a day. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday, 10 a.m. On behalf of Jinno and myself, I don't even know how to end this. Take care. See you soon. It's not even see you soon. Take care. Hear you soon.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Hopefully you guys can subscribe and listen more to Torque of the Town.
This has been Torque of the Town, a podcast produced by AutoDeal and MotoDeal. To learn more about our products and services, head on over to AutoDeal.com.ph and or MotoDeal.com.ph, as well as our social media pages and our YouTube channels. Torque of the Town is powered by Podcast Network Asia and Podmetrics. See you Wednesdays at 10 a.m.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.